let's talk a little bit about Kash Patel, because Kash Patel is getting a lot of heat, a lot of backlash, not just from the left, but notably conservatives who are very excited about him serving as the FBI, head of the FBI. But he's had some fumbles, as PBD likes to say. Yes. Big fumbles, if you ask me. So FBI Director Kash Patel is facing a lot of backlash from both sides of the political aisle over how he's handling multiple big issues. So there have been several issues. There's the obvious cover-up of the Epstein files, the fact that he has failed to release the Epstein files. And that obviously has infuriated the right, who expected far more transparency from the federal government under Trump's second term, but they didn't get it. Then there's Patel's handling of the investigation to Charlie Kirk's murder, which has drawn the ire of both the left and the right, and I'm happy to see that. So he came out and claimed right off the bat that they had a suspect apprehended when they didn't. That was like the big issue in the very beginning. Then he insisted on visiting Orrin, Utah, where the assassination happened. But the FBI director usually doesn't do that, doesn't travel to the scene of the crime. Right. But he did it. And then before the suspect had been detained, he joined this press conference where he didn't utter a single word. And we're learning now that he was essentially advised not to speak because he kept bungling these press conferences. So take a look at this video. He just looks so lost. He looks like, it kind of looks like bring your kid to work day, you know what I mean? Where he's like looking around all bug-eyed, but doesn't say a single word. Not a good look for the FBI director, to be honest.
Didn't they actually arrest 2 people who weren't right?
They did. Yeah. They had detained 2 individuals. One of them was that Zinn guy.
Who was the George Zinn, and then the second one was the one who was dressed in the similar clothing to Tyler.
Exactly.
Yes.
So that happened. And then Utah authorities were actually the ones who captured Tyler Robinson, who at the moment, of course, is the prime suspect in this assassination. And even right-wing activist Christopher Rufo has not been pleased at all with Kash Patel, writing that he's grateful that Utah authorities have captured the suspect in the Charlie Kirk assassination and think it is time for Republicans to assess whether Kash Patel is the right man to run the FBI.
Wow.
He performed terribly in the last few days, and it's not clear whether he has the operational expertise to investigate, infiltrate, and disrupt the violent movements or whatever ideology that threaten the peace in the U.S. He ends it with, "We would be wise to take a moment and ask whether Kash Patel has what it takes to get this done. I've been on the phone the last few days with many conservative leaders, all of whom wholeheartedly support the Trump administration and none of whom are confident that the current structure of the FBI is up to this task." I happen to agree. It feels
like
like
a big deal coming from this dude.
It is. And so this isn't just like, Democrats or leftists coming out against Kash Patel. I mean, to be sure, they're not supportive of Kash Patel. But I think Trump's most avid supporters are realizing this guy is not competent for the job. And I agree. I agree. You need to have trust and faith in our institutions.
Right.
And when you don't, that's when the conspiracy theories start to fly.
100%.
I think this guy has Pam Bondi syndrome in that he loved getting in front of the TV. He loved the viral tweet. And so he got ahead of himself and posted erroneous information out there. But if it's an ongoing investigation of international import, you cannot be doing that.
Right, yeah.
Because everything matters. And this guy, and it's also the 2 of them staring into a camera, him and Dan Bongino looking like deer in the headlights saying, "Oh no,
hostage video."
Epstein definitely didn't commit suicide,
Which makes you think, like, I mean, is this a guy who started with really good intentions, who wanted to make a big difference, and then he was confronted with this beast? And on that note, would it make any difference if he was, fired and replaced by somebody else? Is this the nature of the beast now?
Well,
because when you look at Epstein, okay, let's talk about Epstein first.
Let's talk about Epstein.
Because that specifically, we all know there's more there. He came out and he said under oath that there wasn't anything else. There weren't more testimonies.
I have video that we got to get into.
Yeah, okay, let's play that, please.
So over the last week, Kash Patel has been questioned before the House Judiciary Committee and the Senate Judiciary Committee. And I think his testimony has been telling, to say the least. Because if he's trying to engage in a believable cover-up, it's not working, okay? He keeps getting caught in lies. Let's start with the first video. This is before the Senate Judiciary Committee. Senator Kennedy is asking him about the existence of the Epstein files and whether or not Epstein had trafficked young girls to other powerful men. And get a load of this.
You've seen most of the files.
Can we turn it up?
Who, if anyone, did Epstein traffic these young women to besides himself?
Himself. There is no credible information. None. If there were, I would bring the case yesterday that he trafficked to other individuals. And the information we have, again, is limited.
So the answer is no one?
For the information that we have.
In the files?
In the case file.
Okay. Why? Like, Free gets laid then. Free just laid. Like,
no
seriously.
one guy has that much of a libido. I'm sorry.
No, total BS, okay? And you know it's BS when later, before the House Judiciary Committee, Thomas Massie came with receipts.
Oh, I love this man.
Yes.
I love this man.
He came with what's referred to as the 302 files. The 302 files are summaries of the FBI's interviews with the witnesses and with the victims. And so in it, you're going to have a list of certain people who have been accused by the victims. Now, notice that Massie is going to name one name here. Take a look.
You replied, according to the transcript, there is no credible information that he trafficked them to anyone else. According to victims who cooperated with the FBI in that investigation, these documents in FBI possession, your possession, detail at least 20 men, including Mr. Jess Staley, CEO of Barclays Bank, who Jeffrey Epstein trafficked victims to. That list also includes at least 19 other individuals, one Hollywood producer, worth a few $100 million, one royal prince, one high-profile individual in the music industry, one very prominent banker, one high-profile government official, one high-profile former politician, one owner of a car company in Italy, one rock star, one magician, at least 6 billionaires, including a billionaire from Canada.
That was, okay, that moment was incredible. And obviously, Massie's like, yo, I got the 302 files of the victims and witnesses, and they're naming names. So he did name one name, although he had alluded to 20 different people. He only named one name, and that was Jess Staley. At the time that Jess Staley met Epstein, he was the chief executive of Barclays Bank, and this was in the late 1990s. Basically, he developed a relationship with Epstein because he was helping to manage Epstein's money. Later, he became the chief executive of JP Morgan. But what was interesting was, remember, there were two occasions in which Epstein was prosecuted. One was in 2006, the other was in 2018. This guy, Staley, remained friends and had close communication with Epstein even after the 2006 prosecution, and in fact lied to the authorities in 2018 about the nature of his relationship with Epstein and was fined millions of dollars as a result of lying to the authorities.
He did perjury.
This is so interesting. And do you guys know the bank that did the most to cover up hundreds of millions of dollars of Jeffrey Epstein?
Do.
Do you want to tell?
JP Morgan.
Exactly.
Yep.
So this is incredibly fishy. And then when asked about it, the bank is like, oh, oops, sorry. Like, we should have done a better job. We should have had better, more controls in place. Do you think?
Yeah.
And I also want to draw our audience's attention to the fact that the UK ambassador to the United States had to resign in disgrace just a week ago because he also lied about the nature of his relationship with Epstein. And also, he stayed with him after he was already outed as a sex trafficker. So this is just astounding stuff.
Just on those two things alone, there should be enough evidence that he trafficked to Jeffrey Epstein. No, what are you talking about? Just based off of the evidence that already exists of what you guys are talking about, I hadn't even heard of that, let alone all of the new evidence that they're trying to push forward. I did hear, though, that apparently Massie was finally able to get enough votes on his resolution as of yesterday.
I don't have that update. So maybe you're right.
That doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to vote on whether the information does get released, but he was finally able to canvass enough votes for that, the 218.
The one other thing I'll say about Massie and Marjorie Taylor Greene, by the way, these two legislators have committed to releasing the names of the alleged clients if all other avenues of doing so have been exhausted, because the victims, the women in that press conference, say that if they don't release the files, then we're going to name names ourselves. But they would have to deal with some pretty serious litigation and lawsuits and stuff. So as a result of like that, and in an effort to protect them, you have Massey and Green saying, we're going to go ahead and relay those names on their behalf. But that's going to be like the final resort.
Right.
And that takes guts. That takes courage.
Absolutely.
You know, I'm going to be honest here. I've criticized Marjorie Taylor Greene vehemently.
Me too. Yeah.
Over the years, especially over January 6th, but she has been so valiant on this issue, not only this, but also on Gaza.
Yeah,
So
getting
many things.
foreign money out of our politics. She's been a warrior on that front, and I'm really, really happy that she is, because she is a fighter.
I never thought I would
getting
be
rid of
complimenting her.
geoengineering, the thing that everyone thought was a conspiracy theory. She's like, hey, no, we're going to try to actually make that a felony if you do that to the American citizens. I have gained so much respect and admiration.
Never
for her.
thought that I would be here today.
Me either, but honestly, it seems like her and Thomas Massey are two of the only politicians, at least on the right, that aren't bought and paid for their opinions.
Exactly, and that's why they are drowning Thomas Massey's district in money right now.
Right.
And it's extremely clever, because the interests behind that money, they don't come out and say who they are. They actually change the nature of the ads depending on whether that person is Democratic or a Republican. They're not going to mention, they're not going to mention who it is.
Right.
Yeah.
And so they're very clever about concealing who the identities of the donors are.
I would love to have Thomas Massey on this show.
I would
think
too.
that
It would be a
incredible.
great conversation. Same with Marjorie Taylor Greene. I would love to interview them.
Either one of them.
And look, the final thing I'll say about this before we wrap is who Kash Patel purported to be prior to being named as FBI director is so different from the way that he's behaving today. And if you have actual principles, if you are in the belly of the beast and you see that it's not even tenable to do what you set out to do, then you got to step down. And I think it's telling that he's not stepping down, and instead he is now playing a role in this charade about the Epstein files, and at the same time bungling a really important investigation into a political assassination in the country.
Yeah, I also want to say one final thing. He's
Sure.
being sued by 3 former FBI officials right now as we speak. So I know he's facing, for they're alleging that they were fired for political reasons. So he's under a lot. He's facing a lot right now.
Well, hey, that was the other thing, is that Kash Patel fired the head of the, is it the FBI for Utah?
Yes,
which
he's suing.
apparently she had so many accolades. She was seen as like a golden star in her.
And we never really got a reason why she was let go. That was strange, but
He's done a lot of strange things, a lot of really questionable things. But again, it goes back to my question. I'm wondering, is this a personnel issue or is this a system issue? Is this a systemic issue, specifically with Epstein? I don't know. We still need to wait for more information for Charlie Kirk. But when it comes to the Epstein stuff, clearly there is an incentive to not actually give away the names, because it implicates some people who are either maybe they're in the government, or people funding the government, or people who are adjacent to it, right?
Yep.
And when power like that overrides genuine justice and authority and the integrity of our systems, we have a real issue.
I agree.
A real issue.
Thank you so much for watching Her Take. If you like the show, can you help us out by subscribing to the channel, clicking the notification button, sharing, commenting, joining the conversation? It helps us out a ton with the algorithm. We appreciate you.